Hey, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time, welcome to my channel. So this is my labor and delivery story. I'm excited to share because I did have a very positive-ish experience with induction and with my labor. And as you can tell, he's out because he's right here and starting to stir, getting a little fussy. I wanted to start off by saying I know that I don't know if I look tired, but I am very tired. So hopefully it doesn't necessarily show in this video because I'm trying to have a lot of energy. I have my coffee right here. I'm trying to have just, be hype about it because it was like, it's a great moment and all that stuff to share. But if you have had a child or know about the first few weeks of having a baby, you know that you don't get a lot of sleep. So it's definitely hitting me. So initially I started recording a little bit for like my on the road to delivery type of video because I thought that I was going to deliver faster and I didn't. So I do have some videos that I'll be inserting, which will start now. So here was when I was at 39 weeks. Oh, hey. So this is my first time really trying the whole vlog thing. As you can tell, I'm tired and I'm ready to go. If the quality looks different, I'm actually on my vlogging camera, which I don't use as much as I should, but that's why I'm definitely about to be using it a lot more, especially during this time. It's a whole lot easier to set up as well. But I will go ahead and say I didn't change any of the settings, so whatever it was on is what it's on. Today is the 30th of August, so my due date is next week. Today is Tuesday, and my due date is next Wednesday. I'm just tired. I thought that he was gonna be here, or at least like there would be more things happening. I was having a whole lot of contractions before, and then they stopped, and then I went to my checkup, my 39-week checkup yesterday, and they checked me and I was just 1 centimeter still. So I was 1 centimeter 2 weeks ago, last week, and this week, but I did thin out. So that's why she was like, I don't think that you're gonna make it to your next appointment. So I'm like, okay. Hopefully not, I'm ready. But right after that, I started having like hard contractions, and they were lasting for a minute, and they were like 6 to 7 minutes apart, and it was over an hour. So I called and they were like, it's probably because you just got triggered by the checkup. Like, we don't think that you've progressed that quickly. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I just wanted to give y'all a call. And then now here I am, nothing. Still sitting here, pregs, just ready. I wanted to have like a road to labor type of video. Just like this is where we are currently at 39 weeks. I'm ready. And it's like I say, I'm ready until something happens. Like even yesterday when I went to the doctor's appointment, they were like, okay, well, let's do a stress test on him to make sure he's still comfortable or whatnot. And if this happens, we'll just go ahead and send you over to triage. If this happens, we'll send you to triage. If everything looks normal, we'll send you home. And when they were saying, like when they kept saying triage, I was like, oh no, but I got a week left, right? Like I don't have to have him today. So it's like I'm ready until it comes to being ready. And then I'm like, oh no, please no. So I don't know. And I think that's how I was with her too. Like I was definitely ready to have my daughter, but then like when I went into my doctor's appointment and they were like, oh, your water is low, we're gonna go ahead and just send you over to the hospital. I was like, oh wait, today? Like right now? So I don't know. I'm ready though. I think this is as ready as I'm gonna be, because when I tell you my back is on fire, My back is on fire. My hips are broken. They feel like they about to fall off. I just feel like everything is swollen. Everything pretty much just aches really bad. So, I don't know. I'm just ready a little bit. This is what we're looking like at this point. Baby is pretty big and he just lays like right here. But this is how big he is. Huge. 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 I feel like I'm bigger now than I was when I delivered with my daughter. So I think also the weight from this baby, and I didn't experience this before, but my skin is so tender. I feel like it doesn't have any more room to stretch. Like it burns at times. Like if he's pushing in one spot, he'll push literally like right here in the middle. It's so tender and it always feels like it's burning. And like even if I'm taking a shower and I'm washing right here, it feels raw. And I'm like, he don't have no more room. I don't have no more room. We need to just go ahead. I don't know. So after that video, nothing really changed from 39 to 40 weeks. I definitely had more contractions. I was feeling the contractions more like they were harder. It seemed like things were happening. And I didn't think that I was going to make it to 40 weeks, but I did. And so here's that video. So here I am coming to you guys at 40 weeks. I didn't think that this was going to be something that I was going to be saying because I thought that he was going to be coming early. I thought that we were in agreement, but that's simply not the case. Today is his actual due date. It's 5:30 right now. We still have time for him to come today. I haven't been having like consistent contractions. Anytime they start to be consistent, it'll be like, I don't know, it'll be like 4 or 5 back to back, and I'm like, ooh, and then it just stops. I don't know what's going on. Today, I've been extremely active. I think this is probably maybe the second or third time I've sat down today, and it hasn't been like long sit downs. It's just been like, all right, get you a little 10 minutes down and keep it moving. So this morning I got up and I walked, and then I rolled around on the ball, on the yoga ball, and then we went to Target and walked around and got some last minute things for the baby. Then we went to Walmart, walked around there for a little. Then we came home and I just walked around like in the living room and then up and down the hallway, just trying to stay active and stay moving. But I still haven't had anything that's been like super consistent as far as the contractions go. So here we are. So after that 40-week appointment, I was very saddened because I really thought that I was going to have him the day that I went to my appointment. I just knew like he was coming. And unfortunately it did not work out like that way, but it did end up working out. My doctor kind of saw noticeably because I was crying a little bit too, but she noticed like, okay, you seem to be sad. You seem to be pretty much over this pregnancy. So we do have induction time. So my appointment was on Thursday, and basically she was like, we have tomorrow, which is Friday, or you can go Monday or possibly Wednesday. And we wouldn't want you to go further than Wednesday because that's when I would be 41 weeks. So they were like, you have, you know, a little leverage of when you want to go in. So I prayed on it. My husband and I talked about it. I even talked about it with my parents. And I was praying like, Lord, if this is not for me, if I do not need an induction, if I don't even, you know, need to mess with this or entertain this thought, take that time away. So when I called, because I had to call back and say, hey, this is the day I want, what times do you have available? So I'm like, if it's not even something that I need to be doing, take that day away, please, because I don't want to be forcing something, and I wanted to align with his will and make sure that everything was going the right way. So I called and they were like, yeah, we still have tomorrow. So I was like, okay. So then she was like, yep, you need to be here for the 1 o'clock appointment. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, 1 o'clock. And she was like, so you need to be here by 12:45 tonight, or basically like that night. And I was like, 12:45, and she was like, yeah, the appointment's on 1 a.m. And I was like, 1 a.m. Woo, didn't expect that, but it was fine because I was ready and I was over it. And I had really been apprehensive about induction, but my doctor told me, she was like, you don't have high blood pressure, you don't have any red flags. We've done at that point we had done 2 stress tests on him, not in the same day. We had done one, I think one at 39 weeks and then one at the 40+1 appointment where they have to do it just to make sure that the baby is still fine. And both of the tests he did amazing with. They even use like the little thing on him. If you ever had a stress test, they use this little thing that makes noise real loud, and it like makes them like jump and their heart rate goes up, and then they try to see like, you know, what happens during that time. And they said he did amazing, so they didn't have any questions or concerns about that. So they were like, we don't think that you would be a bad candidate for induction, because whether your contractions would make him act up or not, or have him have like some type of reaction to it, it's going to happen naturally, or it could happen with induction. With induction, we can monitor it a little closer. So I was like, oh, okay, induction it is. That's fine. Like, she definitely set my mind at ease. So then basically we ate, got everything ready, got everything prepared. I mean, we already had our bags and everything ready, but we just got everything else prepared, got my daughter situated, and then we went over to the hospital, which you'll see now. It's a terrible angle, but road to labor. Here we are in the room. I don't feel like I need to do a room tour because I feel like they all kind of look the same, but we got here at 12:45. So we're here. It's currently 2:50, and we just started the Pitocin, so it's on the smallest dosage as of right now, but it's already working because I've already been having a lot of contractions, so that's really good. And she actually said I was having contractions that were about 4 minutes apart before she even gave me the Pitocin, so she thinks it's going to be pretty quick, but we shall see, because, you know, different strokes for different folks. So right now we're just chilling. My mom is here and Jelani is here. I don't really think they want to be on camera. I don't know. Like I said, it's about to be 3 o'clock in the morning. So, but the one thing I've been thinking about that I shouldn't be thinking about is not being able to eat. But that's only because I'm starting to get hungry. Like, I thought I was doing well before I ate, before we came, but around 2:30 is his normal, like, wake up and eat cereal time, and he's already moving around and being super active. They turned down the monitor, so you can't even hear his heartbeat, which I like to hear. So she said she's going to come back in at 3 to turn up the Pitocin. So I'm going to hopefully get her to turn up the monitor so we can hear him as well. But I'm hoping that he comes quickly so then the food can come quickly. But that's about it for right now. It's just going to be about waiting until everything kicks in and get the process going. So this is going to be my spot for right now. But alright, we shall see what happens. It's currently 5:55. I think I'm on level 10 of Pitocin. So I haven't been able to like really get sleep because they've been coming like back to back. So when I first came in, I think they were like every 4 minutes, but not that intense. Now they're every 3 minutes, and they are a lot harder, but they don't last long. I was asking her if they're supposed to last long, and she said yes, but they haven't been lasting too long. So just trying to see how things are gonna go. I don't know. I know I'm hungry. I don't think he's gonna come out in an hour, so I don't think I'm gonna get like that first breakfast meal. But soon come. Something gonna shake. But yeah, I actually feel pretty good. I laying on the side because when I was laying on my back, his heart rate was going down just a little bit. So they just wanted me to shift just to make sure that, you know, everything would be okay. So this is like slightly uncomfortable, but it's okay because it's making him more comfortable. But I also want to try to maybe nod off, but between the contractions and him moving, I think because he's hungry, I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep. So we'll see. I don't know. But time is going by super fast, so it seems like, I don't know, it seems like we just got in here and it's already about to be 6 o'clock. So that's exciting, but at the same time I'm like, ooh, when are you gonna come? But yeah, so that is my update for now. Hopefully soon I'll have like a big update. They haven't checked me since I first got in, so I don't know if I've dilated or not at all. But we shall see. And here comes the contraction, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the camera off. So after this video is when things started to pick up a lot. So I started having a lot more contractions. They started coming a lot like closer together. So I started having them every 2 minutes, and they weren't where I knew that they could be, but they were still painful. So my thought was like, let me try to go to sleep. I don't think I'm going to be able to go to sleep, but let me try to. But I was exhausted from the night before and us being up all that day and then going in at 1 o'clock in the morning and still being up. So I was tired. I didn't think I was going to fall asleep like I did, but I ended up falling asleep for I think about like maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And when I woke up, I was woken by these really, really strong contractions. Still not where I knew it could go, but we were getting close. And so that's when when I woke up, I found out that they had still been obviously increasing the Pitocin. So at this point, I think I was at like 12 or something, 12 or 14, which they didn't necessarily think that I was going to need to go that far. So then the doctor checked me and I still hadn't dilated. And so she was giving me this whole spiel about how, you know, I need to be able to do this. I need to be able to do that. And for whatever reason, like it wasn't connecting with me. Like what she was saying wasn't connecting. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I still don't want an epidural yet. Like I still want to wait. And so, you know, my husband is like, why? Like, why do you want to wait? And I'm like, I just want to wait. So the nurse is like, well, we want this to be your decision. It's your body. It's you going through it. You need to make the decision. So think about it, get a feel for everything, but just know we can't move forward without you getting an epidural. And still at that point, I'm not thinking anything about it. I'm still like, oh, okay, well, I'll still just wait until the contractions get too bad and then I'll just get an epidural. Or they may not get as bad this time. Maybe this pregnancy will be different. So then I start having, did I doze back off? I think I dozed back off, but it was very short-lived. It was probably like 10 minutes. And I was waking up again by strong contractions. Now, when it got to this point, this is the point that I knew it could get to. this is the level where I was like, these are those contractions that had me thinking I was going home to glory when I was having my daughter. So I was like, okay, so now we're at that level. But for some reason, my contractions were not lasting long. They were really short. So it would be like, I don't even know. Like, it just seemed like it was maybe like 15 seconds, which is insane. I know, like, your contractions are supposed to last a really long time, like a minute or a minute and a half, but mine were really, really short. So in that moment, I was like, I can deal with this because yes, they're super intense, but they don't last long. So I'm fine. So then my husband comes over and he explains to me, like, the doctor was saying that you have not progressed. You're still at 2 centimeters, or no, not even, I don't even know if I was at 2, but they were like, you're still at 1.5 centimeters. Nothing is happening and you're not going to progress because his head is in front of your cervix. So my cervix was behind his head, which wasn't allowing it to expand anymore. So in order for it to be able to dilate, they had to bring my cervix from around his head to the front. But in order to do that, she was like, the doctor was saying, like, you need an epidural. This is nothing that I would be able to do. I think he's over here pushing the poop. But the doctor was basically saying, like, we cannot move your cervix without you having an epidural. If you feel this, it would be way too painful. Like, there's no way we can do it without an epidural. And she was like, and we want to break your water, but there's no way to do that either because we can't get to your cervix because of it being behind his head. So when my husband broke it down for me, and I don't even know, like, she probably said it the same way, but I was just kind of like in and out of sleep to where I wasn't like focusing on what she was saying. But when my husband told me, I was like, this doesn't make sense to not have an epidural then, because I'm not going to be able to progress without one. So it finally clicked and I was like, oh no, give me, like, okay, I'm ready. Like, get me epidural. Like, this doesn't make sense. So the nurse was like, I'm so thankful that you're going to go ahead and do it because we would literally just be sitting here for hours and nothing is going to happen until you decide to get your epidural. So I'm thankful that you did. So she calls and she's like, hey, she wants the epidural. Come on in. So I do want to say, if this is your first child, maybe, or if you are extremely worried about getting epidural, I want you to pass this part. It's not like, I don't think it's like super traumatizing, but I do think that if you're worried about getting an epidural, then this could heighten that. If you just want to get information on people and how their epidurals went or how their labor like progressed with the epidural, whatever, then go ahead and listen if this is not really going to affect you. And hopefully I'll be able to put the time somewhere to where the epidural part is over. But I just don't want to scare anybody. So here we go, epidural. So they call I think the anesthesiologist in, and he is very short, not in height, but in like the way that he speaks. Like, it was just, I didn't care for his person, but that doesn't have anything to do with your skill. So I'm like, whatever. So he's speaking to the nurses, and he seemed to be like belittling them a little bit. Like, everything they said, he was like correcting them. Like, they would be like, oh, this is blue or whatever, and then he would be like, no, this is sky blue, this is baby blue, like that type, where he was like super just, I don't know, belittling is how I took it to them. So I didn't necessarily care for that. So even when it came to talking to me, and this is the part that I really didn't care for, like, he was like, say your name and what you're here for. So I'm like, okay, my name, and then I'm like, I'm here, to give birth, to have a baby. And he's like, well, no, what procedure are you having done? And I'm like, oh, okay, you're doing an epidural. And he's like, no, it's called a spinal. And I'm like, why would I know that? Why? Like, in my head, I'm thinking like, why would I know that? Why would I know like the doctor term for the epidural? I wouldn't know that. But the nurse is like, just say, and she tells me what like the full name of it. So I say it. I'm just like, ugh. So then my last epidural, I had it like more up here in my back. Like it was like in between my shoulder blades, kind of, is where it seemed like it was. This one, he was going lower. So it like much lower, like lower back area. So he was like, I need you to like bend over and like do like a cat, like do your back like a cat. So I'm trying my best, and he's like, I need you to get lower. I need you to get lower. And I'm like, there's a baby in here. I can't get much lower. It's a whole child. Like I'm doing the best that I can. So he starts the procedure, and he's like, you're going to feel a little sting. So I feel the sting. It hurt. It definitely hurt more than it did the last time. And then all of a sudden I heard ringing in my ear, and I was like, this didn't happen last time. So I'm telling the nurse, like the nurse is like, anything you feel, let me know. So I'm like, I hear ringing in my ear. And she's like, okay. And she's telling the doctor, like, she hears ringing in her ear. And he's like, I'm not doing anything yet. Like, I just put in, I think like the numbing stuff or whatever. And so he was like, I'm about to put in the epidural. Like, it's like a little, I don't even know what it's called, but it's like a little silicone tube. It's really thin that they put like the medicine through for the epidural, and that's what they have to stick in. And so he was doing that part, and all of a sudden, like my hearing went out all the way in this ear. And so I'm like, I can't hear anything out of this ear anymore. And she's like relaying everything to the doctor. And every time she says something to him, he's like, I'm not doing anything. Like, but I'm like, clearly you're doing something back there. And obviously, like, we were all on, it seemed like, different pages. But, and it's kind of making me sad because it was like frustrating in that moment, trying to be like, is this the moment? Like, you know, when they say like people tend to not listen to Black women about what they're going through. Like, is this the moment? Is this one of those moments where something's going to happen? Like, that's what I was thinking in the back of my head, and like trying to push that thought away. Like, God has me. He has everything under control. Like, I just need to push that out of my mind. So then all of a sudden I start feeling really weak, and I'm like, I feel like I'm about to pass out. And so she tells him, and he's like, once again, I don't know why, like, I'm not doing anything for her to feel that way. So I don't know what's going on. So I asked her, like, can I lay my head on you? Because it was either that or I felt like I was going down. So she's like, okay, like, lay your head. So I don't really know what happened after that, because I just felt so weak and I felt super out of it. Like I couldn't really hear what was going on because my head, this ear was on her shoulder, and I couldn't hear out of this ear. And I remember them like putting stuff under my nose and trying to like wake me up. They called like other people in to try to help. And then when I started to hear things better and like paying attention to what they were saying, they were like, okay, like, you know, her blood pressure is stabling out. Her color is coming back. Her oxygen is going up. And so basically what they were telling me was I was having a vagal episode, to where like your heart rate will drop, your oxygen will go down. And it can cause you to pass out, basically. And so that's what was happening. And it was just a scary thing. It was a scary time, because I've had things in the past where I've passed out before, but not because of anything like this. Like, it's always been with my heart, because I have a heart condition. So it's always been things that have been related to that, and like not necessarily outside of that. So I didn't have any of that with my first child. So it was really concerning to me. And I know my mom was super concerned. My husband was really concerned because he had to sit in the chair. Like, he couldn't move out of the chair. So I just think that it was like a scary moment for everybody. He started to wrap up everything. Like, he was like, okay, I'm going to start putting the medicine through. So I had to sit back up. And this part I do remember, because he was like, tell me if you feel any pain, not pressure, but pain. So he started doing something, and I'm like, I feel that. Like, it does have pain, but it's like on my back. Like, it feels like you're doing something. Like, I don't feel anything like inside of there, but like on my back, like I feel it. And he's like, you shouldn't feel that. Hold on. So he does something else, and he's like, do you feel this? And I'm like, yes. Like, I feel it. And he's like, you shouldn't. And so then I start, you know, kind of feeling lightheaded again. So he finishes up. I lay down, I lay back. And we're kind of going from there. Like kind of moved on because like they said, my color was coming back, my oxygen was coming back, everything started feeling like it was getting better. But I still felt very just foggy, like everything just felt really foggy. So after that, the doctor comes in and she does everything that she needs to do. So she moves my cervix. I don't feel any of that. She breaks my water. I don't feel any of that, but I do feel like the water coming, like I feel it on my leg. I feel the rush of water coming on my leg, but I don't feel it coming out of my body, if that makes sense. So then maybe about 15 minutes after that, 15, maybe 20 minutes after that, I felt this huge urge to push and poop. And I'm telling the nurses like, hey, I'm feeling this way. And they're like, oh, did you deliver pretty quickly last time? And I'm like, yes. And they were like, okay, well, we're going to wait and have the doctor come in and check you, but we're pretty sure it's nothing, like it's fine. It's going to take you a while to go from 2 to 10, because at that point I was still at 2. As you will see in the video, like I keep saying, like, I don't know how many more of these I can do because it feels like something is coming out. Like it feels like the baby is coming out or something is happening down there and I need to push or something needs to happen because something is happening. I don't know how much I can hold this. Just keep breathing, baby.
You're doing a really good job.
I'm doing very good. Very, very, very good. My body is pushing. Like I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's okay.
I mean, he is.
He's moving down here.
Yeah.
Good job.
Remember she said to shake him? Ooh. I feel like they got one more. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Cause that was that was during a contraction. That was happening.
And so the doctor comes in and she's like, okay, I'm going to check you. And she was like, oh, this is why. Because no, I take that back. The nurse came in and I kept saying, I don't have too many of these left. Like I only got one more in me and something's happening. Like I can't hold this in anymore because me trying to hold it in, my body was already shaking, which they had told me, like when you're in labor and you're about to deliver, your body will more than likely start to shake. But I'm also fighting my body not to push, which is really, really, really hard. So the nurse is like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and check you. Boom, 10. And I already knew that she was going to say I was at 10 because I'm like, this feeling, I know that something's right there. So when she checks me, I feel her like on the outside, but I didn't feel anything on the inside. So I was like, well, that's kind of weird, but not really thinking too much of it because it's a lot of other stuff going on. So then this pressure is coming with pain. And what I didn't know was happening was the baby was crowning and I could feel it on the outside. So I was like, we have to get the doctor in here. Like this is happening. The doctor comes in, they're rushing to get everything prepared because they're like, the baby's head is right here. You're right. We need to get everything moving. 2 pushes and he's out of there. However, I felt it all. And that was super duper painful. It was like on fire. It was a lot, but it was because I could feel it. So even, and I don't know if you can like really hear it clearly because I'm yelling in the video too because it hurt so bad, But, you know, the nurses and my mom are kind of like, he's here, like, calm down, he's here, like, what's going on? Like, it seemed like they were really confused as to why I was yelling. But I'm like, man, I feel like, and I don't think that I could get it out to say, like, I feel this, because it hurt so bad. And even after he came out, fire. Like, I'm trying to fan myself. It was just, it hurt so bad. And even, she only had to do a little bit for stitching. Even in that, I could feel it, because it was on the outside. So with the epidural, my thought was it worked for everything inside. I couldn't feel anything. But as far as everything on the outside, like to the touch, even if I would touch my leg or rub my leg, I could feel it. But I couldn't, like if I hit my leg, I couldn't feel anything inside. It was so weird. And I think that at one point, like, they didn't really believe me. Like, if you can't feel it inside, if you can't feel these contractions, if you can't feel this and that, if you can't feel him coming down, then you definitely can't feel him coming out. That was not the truth, because I felt it all. I feel this.
Yeah, those legs back. Pull those legs back. Get your arms behind them, underneath them here. Curl up like you're doing a tummy crunch. Hold that breath and push. Oh, you're excellent. Good girl. Good girl. Fantastic. Oh, bunch of hair.
8, 9,
Excellent.
10.
Yep. Just like you did
Alright,
before.
push it down.
Yep. Curl up and give me a nice big push, honey. Come on.
Curl around, baby.
Excellent. Look at you.
Good
Look
job,
at you.
6, 7,
Hello.
Good job, baby.
9,
Now, listen. Ease it up a little bit. Ease it up a little bit. Perfect. Hi, sweetheart. How are you? Look at that. Look at Grace now. Grace, look.
Look, he's
Look.
out.
Look at somebody.
Oh, it feels hot. But after that, they brought him up to me. I was able to see him. I was able to hear him, because he cried like instantly. With my daughter, she didn't really cry, and they handed her to me, and she still, like, she just wasn't really crying. Like, she was like, ooh, ooh, like making sounds, but she just really didn't cry. Him, he cried. He was like, I'm here. I didn't want to be here. I thought I still had more time. Y'all took me out. But he was still the sweetest thing ever. It was just a blessing to see him, to know that he was alive, to be able to hold him, to be able to just have him with me on the outside and not worry about, you know, if I'm doing enough, because he's here and he is a whole baby. We ended up picking Langston Amir Bilal, and he came out 7 pounds, 7 ounces, and he was 20 and a half inches long. So I definitely thought that he was going to be either bigger or longer, just because of how big my stomach was. But I mean, he was still, you know, like a pretty good, healthy baby. But yeah, that was it. And then he was here, and our hospital stay was super short. We were only there for a day. So my hospital bag was packed, mainly for like just if anything happened. So when you go to the hospital, you don't know if you're going to end up having to have a C-section and be there for 3 or 4 days. Especially with induction, you don't know if the induction process is going to take a few days, because I've heard cases where people were induced and then they didn't have their baby until like 2 days later, because the induction process can be long for people. So I wanted to be prepared, but I was really over prepared, because we were literally only there for a day. So like, I didn't even have to shower there, because the next day I was able to go home and shower. It was an amazing experience. I'm so thankful that the majority of my process was positive. It was not only positive, but it was super quick. Like, everything went extremely quickly. So yeah, and now we get to love up on him. Now he's currently 3 weeks, so it's been a little time since I've had him, but we've been getting adjusted to having him, and then having two, and then having to adjust to, you know, our oldest having feelings about him. So it's just been an adjustment period, but I'm thankful to be able to sit down and share my story with you guys, and hopefully I'll be able to create a lot more. I finally feel like I'm in a place of I won't say peace, because it's been peaceful, but I feel like the adjustment period had me shook a little bit, because we truly were not getting rest. And it's not like we're getting a lot of rest now, but it's just like I feel better about it. Like I'm almost kind of like adjusting to it. Like my body is like, okay, we got this. Like, we just know we're not gonna get any sleep, and that's fine. That's all for me today. If you have any questions or any comments, definitely go ahead and leave them down below. And if not, I will see you in my next video. Bye.